All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to go on this incredible journey, starting from a single simple dot on a map and ending up with a dynamic model of our entire world. We're going to be exploring ArcGIS, a tool that is just amazing at uncovering the hidden stories in our data. So let's jump right in. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I've got a question for you. What if a map could do more than just show you where stuff is? What if it could actually understand relationships, see patterns you can't, and maybe even predict what might happen next? That's really the big idea we're diving into today. So, the magic behind all this? It's something called a Geographic Information System, or GIS for short. And you can totally think of it like the brain behind one of these thinking maps. It's not just a pretty picture. It's a whole framework that captures, stores, and analyzes all kinds of geographic data. I mean, everything from roads and buildings to satellite images, even census data. Okay, so if GIS is the brain, what's ArcGIS? Well, think of ArcGIS as the ultimate toolkit that lets that brain actually do something. It's this whole family of software that allows everyone, from professionals to total hobbyists, to build these incredible intelligent maps.
And the cool thing is, the ArcGIS ecosystem is huge. There's basically a perfect tool for whatever you need to do. You might start out super simple, right in your web browser with ArcGIS Online. But when you're ready for the really heavy-duty analysis, you can jump into ArcGIS Pro on your desktop. Big organizations, they use Enterprise to manage just massive amounts of data. And then there are these specialized extensions that let you tackle really specific stuff, like 3D modeling or finding the best routes for delivery trucks.
Okay, so how do you actually get started with all this? I know, it might sound super complex, but honestly, the beauty of ArcGIS is that it's way more accessible than you'd think. Let's walk through how you can create your very first powerful map and just start seeing your data in a completely new light. And look, we're not just talking about making pretty pictures here. This is about solving real problems. So imagine you're a city planner in Houston, Texas, and a hurricane is on its way. Your number one concern? It's got to be helping people who might not be able to evacuate on their own. So how do you even find them? Well, for that planner in Houston, the process is actually surprisingly straightforward. First, you grab a simple base map of the city. Easy enough. Next, you layer on that crucial piece of data, a spreadsheet from the census showing households that don't have a car. And here's the key step. You style it. You make those vulnerable areas pop, maybe in a dark, bold color you just can't miss. And boom, just like that, you can publish and share that map, turning a boring old spreadsheet into a genuine life-saving action plan. And this is what you get. I mean, look at that. In just a few minutes, a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet becomes this powerful visual insight. All of a sudden, emergency planners know exactly which neighborhoods need the most help. That is the power of even a simple GIS map. But that's really just scratching the surface. Now we're going to move beyond just putting dots on a map. We're going to start uncovering those deep, hidden patterns that are hiding in our data. And this, right here, is the really crucial shift in thinking. That first map answered a simple question: what is where? But now we get to ask a much deeper question. What's the relationship between these things? And that is where true spatial analysis really kicks in. Let's take another real-world example. Say you're working for the tourism board in Singapore. You want to make a brochure highlighting attractions that are easy to get to using public transit. Well, you can use a super common tool called a buffer to create, say, a 500-meter walking distance zone around every single rail station. Then you grab another tool, this one's called Intersect, to see which of your tourist spots overlap or, fall inside those walking zones. And bam, just like that, you've got your answer. No more guesswork, just a clean, data-driven list of attractions you can feature in your brochure. See, this is how GIS goes from just being a cool picture to a powerful decision-making tool. Okay, so we've made a simple map, we've done some basic analysis, but now let's look at the future. This is where we get into the truly mind-blowing stuff you can do with ArcGIS. Honestly, this is where it starts to feel a little bit like magic. Yeah, this is where things get really futuristic. Instead of doing the same tedious clicks over and over, you can just write a little bit of code to automate it all. You can take flat 2D building data and turn it into a living 3D city model that you can literally fly through. You can solve complex logistical puzzles, like finding the absolute perfect route for an entire fleet of delivery trucks. And with something called GeoAI, you can actually teach the map to see, training it to automatically find every single building or solar panel from a satellite image. The potential here is just absolutely massive. So, are you feeling inspired yet? I hope so, because the best part is there's a really clear path for anyone who wants to dive in. Let's talk about how you can get started on your own GIS journey. Okay, now it's important to know that while ArcGIS is pretty much the industry standard, there is another big player out there called QGIS. The biggest, and I mean biggest difference, QGIS is completely free and open source, which is awesome. The trade-off is that ArcGIS is generally seen as more user-friendly, especially for beginners. It just has this really polished feel and a ton of official tutorials and support to get you going. And you might be thinking, okay, this sounds expensive. And yeah, for big companies it can be. But for you, getting started on your own, it's really not. You can get a personal use license for ArcGIS Pro, and we're talking the same powerful desktop software the pros use for about $100 a year. All right, so here is your learning path, your roadmap. If you're a total beginner, I'd say definitely start with Esri's free tutorials for ArcGIS Online. Once you're comfortable there and ready to level up, grab the book GIS Tutorial 1. And if you really want to become a power user, start looking into books on Python scripting. And maybe the most important tip, don't try to do it all alone. The online communities like GeoNet or the GIS subreddit are just invaluable when you inevitably get stuck. So that brings us full circle, right back to where we started, but now with a totally new perspective. A map isn't just a static picture. It's a living, breathing tool for telling stories. From a single point on a map to a dynamic 3D world, ArcGIS gives you the power to find those stories and share them. So the only question left really is this: what story is waiting to be discovered in your data?